So I'll hit play. We'll just watch this thing here.
All right.
Greg and I met in college. We married soon after. I learned what Greg Abbott was really made of when I saw how he responded to his paralyzing accident. His recovery took months, but he never gave up. And the joys of our marriage and adopting our daughter Audrey showed me the depths of his love and commitment. Hard work, perseverance, and family. That's what defines Greg Abbott and how he governs Texas.
They didn't touch anything politically in this ad. First reaction to it.
It's very dull. It's dull and it's dated. It feels like a 20-year-old commercial. And they tried to dump every positive copy point about Greg Abbott in here. So it's sort of like a bed of nails. It's got too many points in it. Honestly, what I would have done with this commercial is I would have gone back to the file from 8 years ago and rerun the parking garage commercial where it shows him wheeling himself up the parking garage as part of his rehabilitation.
Overcoming adversity.
Overcoming adversity and making a guy in a wheelchair look strong, which is amazing. This commercial, it bugs me because they spent a lot of money on it and it's just meh.
Well, what's the point of this, though? Yeah. He has a record of 8 years. Of course, Beto can attack that record,
sure,
but there are things that he could brag about as well.
I think what they're trying to do here is just soften him up a little bit. And they didn't do a great job, to be honest. It all features his wife, Cecilia. Lots of pictures of him with families and softer images of him. So, over the last few years, he's become this sort of, hard-nosed governor. That's sort of his image. So now they're trying to soften him up a little bit with women.
You don't think it worked?
No, I think it's just a very dull commercial. And for a campaign that's pledged to spend $100 million, an okay commercial, it's just not good enough.
Who is this ad right here aimed at? Women, suburbs, what?
Absolutely. This is aimed right at suburban women. And trying to say, look, I adopted a daughter, and here's my lovely wife, and here I am with some nice people. So trying to soften him up with suburban women, which is clearly where his problem is going to be.
Because of Roe versus Wade, or
Absolutely, for Roe versus Wade. And guns and Roe versus Wade. Those are his two big problems.
My dad died when I was in high school. I had to wait tables at a place just like this to be able to pay for school. It took hard work, but Texas gave me the opportunity to succeed. That's why as governor, I focus on creating jobs for all Texans by investing in education, expanding our energy industry, and by keeping taxes low for our families. We are securing the future of Texas so that everyone has the same opportunities that Texas gave me.
Abbott's defending himself in this ad instead of attacking O'Rourke. Is that the right thing to do here?
I think he's basically trying to reintroduce himself.
Why, though? He's been around 8 years, at least in this role.
Right, and now we've got 1 million new registered voters in Texas over the last year, 1.1 million new voters. And I think his image has hardened over the last few years. So this is an opportunity for him to come back, soften his image. Hey, look, I worked in a restaurant. My dad died. Have a little sympathy for me. And then here's how I've used that to bring opportunity to Texas. I think opportunity is an important word that he's going to be saying a lot through the campaign.
How much do you think his ad campaigns really change the closer we get to the election?
I think they change a lot. I think we're going to see a week or two of reintroduction, bio, softening Greg Abbott. I'm a great guy. I've done all this stuff. And then as this changes, you're going to see a little bit more contrast. I've done this, but the Democrats, probably won't talk about Beto specifically, but the Democrats are fighting us.
Why wouldn't he talk about Beto or O'Rourke?
I don't think he wants to give Beto the time of day. I don't think he wants to raise Beto's image by putting him in his ads. There might be some third parties that come in and punch Beto directly. But I think he's going to go national and push Biden and some of the other national Democrats and try to nationalize the story.
Which is what rallies the Republican base to get them out.
Absolutely. That lets him talk about immigration, lets him talk about fentanyl, lets him talk about inflation to some degree.
Perfect. All right. Let's switch off to the other one here.
Of course, people are going to disagree on the big issues. But Greg Abbott signed the most extreme abortion ban in the United States.
No exception for rape? No exception for incest? $100,000 fines and jail time for doctors?
Only 11% of Texans agree with him.
I mean, this is a free country. We need a governor who gets that. And that's Beto.
O'Rourke's hitting hard in his first ads.
And this is a really good spot. It's a really, really good commercial. It's a really great idea. And what he's got to do, right now the polls show it kind of a party line election. He's got to give Republicans permission to come across and vote for Democrats.
So that's the whole point of having a Republican in here?
That's the whole point of that. His best issue is going to be abortion. And for a hardcore Trump Republican that they're advertising in this spot to say, you know what, I'm going to go across because I don't think, his reasoning was not pro-abortion. His reasoning was freedom. And I think that's an important thing to say.
This ad never showed Beto O'Rourke, the candidate himself, in there. What does that tell you?
That tells me that I think at some point everybody got fired and they got new people, because this is a seismic change for this campaign. Because Beto, they felt like Beto was their number one asset, and now they've really gotten much more sophisticated in the messaging, and Beto is playing a smaller role. My only criticism of this campaign, of this spot, really, is the people are speaking from a teleprompter and not from the heart. So that's a very subtle thing, but that would have improved that. But best commercial they've ever done.
But because of the word choice in there, you can. How do you tell that?
It's just stiff and scripted, a little bit. It's a little bit controlled, where it's not them just speaking off the cuff.
Good. Okay, one more. I think there's one more. Is there one more here?
Yep, there's one more.
Let's see. I might have to go out and find it. Abbott's abortion.
Red Rose.
Here we go.
From this day forward, August 25th,
women all across Texas are no longer free
to make decisions about our own body.
No longer free to choose if a pregnancy is right for us.
or our families.
Not even in cases of rape
or incest.
And women will die because of it.
All because of Greg Abbott's abortion law.
It's too extreme. So I'm voting for Beto,
who will give women our freedom back.
First reaction.
This commercial feels a little overwrought to me. It's beautifully made, but it just feels like it's a little too much. It's just this is a tough issue to deal with, but it just feels like it's a little too much to me.
O'Rourke is going after the suburban women here, just like Abbott did with his ads, but they're two totally different tracks.
Yeah, and I think what he's done here is he's done 30 seconds of, wow, this is terrible, Abbott's terrible, but he's never made the turn for, hey, I'm Beto, and here's what I'm going to do to fix this. So this is all fear and no hope. So there's got to be a little hope, especially if you want to move women voters. You've got to show some light at the end of the tunnel, and this one does not do that. So beautifully made, but I think it's a swing and a miss.
One thing that strikes me about Beto's first two ads is that he wasn't doing this when he ran for Senate in 2018. It was more about Beto. Now, though, he's really taken the fight to Abbott. He didn't take the fight to Cruz in 2018 until the last few weeks.
Right. So that's why I think, if you look at 5 months ago, he ran a spot online about his jobs plan that was written by union steamfitters. I mean, so it was like a totally weird Western Pennsylvania union kind of message. Now he's much more focused. So I think they're much stronger on message, and they're willing to go after Abbott. Problem is, they've only got one issue. The only issue that's really moving women right now is abortion. Now, it's working well all over the country, but we'll see if he runs out of gas on that.
How do you expect these ads to change the closer we get to the election from both candidates?
I expect them to get tougher.
Against each other?
Much tougher against each other. I think we'll still see, for Abbott, you're going to start see him do more contrast against Beto, but not by name, more contrast against national Democrats. I think for Beto, he's got to hit Abbott, but he's just got to change and put some hope in there and put some story in there about himself. Another option could be Beto starts to run a Slate type ad.
What does that mean?
Where it's Beto, Mike Collier, Garza, where he tries to get maybe Garza across the finish line across Ken Paxton. So we'll have to see where they find themselves.
He hasn't done that in the past, though, has he?
He hasn't. Right now, he feels like he's competitive. Depending on the poll, he's either 5 points behind or 10 points behind. They've been struggling to move numbers. They're going to have all the resources. We'll see if he can do it.
Perfect. Anything else?
One thing I noticed from the 2020 was the amount of just attacking national Republicans and national Democrats. Do you think we'll see that again, or how much do you think they'll focus on Trump? I guess it was It was
mean
an
national
anti-Trump
Republicans?
message
Yeah.
last time around.
Yeah. Well, just wait. Just wait. When I think Abbott will start to attack the National Democrats, and then the third parties haven't arrived yet.
Right.
I mean, look, if this race spends less than 150 or 200 million dollars, I'll be shocked. I think the third parties are going to come in and they're going to pour it on against the national figures.
The third parties, the political action committees
Yes.
on both sides.
Right. You're going to see Ted Cruz in ads. You're going to see Joe Biden in ads. Nancy Pelosi, all the hits.
That have really nothing to do with this race.
Right, exactly. But they could move voters. A lot of these races are referendums, and we're seeing a lot of races just turn into Joe Biden referendums. Whether he's involved in it or not, that could happen here.
On the Democratic side, do you expect O'Rourke to tie Abbott to Trump?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what he's got to do is he's got the abortion hit that works, and then he's got to try to connect Abbott and Trump and put Trump around his neck. Now, the campaign might not do that. The campaign might let a third party do that, but that's coming for sure.
For years, I've been doing this 32 years, and every cycle it seems like, oh, this is the end of political ads. People don't look at political ads anymore. At the end of the day, political ads are still pretty effective.
They still really work, and we're going to see probably in this midterm, maybe $5 or $6 billion spent.
$5 or $6 billion in TV ads?
They've been revising the number up. It's crazy the amount of money they're spending. Now, what's kind of funny is for Republicans, it works a little better for us. Our voters are a little older and index a little higher on TV viewership. For Democrats, like for example, Beto's trying to get people out who don't normally vote in midterms. Younger women, younger people, and they're not necessarily big TV viewers.
Republicans will put their ads on TV.
Yeah.
Democrats like Beto might put his on YouTube or on social media.
Look, everybody's going to be everywhere. In this race, everybody's got enough money where they'll be able to be everywhere. But I think Beto is going to have to do a better job on digital and some of the other places where younger people are than Abbott is.
Anything else you can think of?
No, it's just going to be tough. Right now, it's a party line vote, and if it's a party line vote, Beto loses. So he has got to get people to cross over. He has got to get those suburban women to cross over. And that's why he can't just be all negative, because that will push them away. He's got to give them hope and show them light at the end of the tunnel, or he's done.
Perfect.